Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the second 20 questions, 22 mark question and answer from the subject digital signal processing and discrete time signal processing. Under the topic IAR filter, infinite impulse response filter. So we discussed the first 20 questions in the previous video. Okay, that is a analog filter design. Okay, what is the Butterworth filter, magnitude response of Butterworth, and what are the properties of Butterworth filter, then Chebyshev filter. Okay, what is the magnitude response of Chebyshev, their graph, then the properties of Chebyshev filter, then comparison of Butterworth and Chebyshev filter. Okay, so that questions we discussed in the previous video. So now we are going to discuss the remaining 20 questions. Okay, so remaining some 19 questions in this video. If you want to learn that video means I will give link in the description box. You can refer it. So we see the first question. What is mean by impulse invariant method of designing IR filter? Okay, so already you know there are two transformation techniques. That is the four methods are there in order to convert the analog filter into digital filter. Already we discussed this question. In order to convert the analog into digital, we may use impulse invariant method, bilinear transformation, approximation of derivative, matched is a transform. Okay, so in that impulse invariant method, what is mean by impulse invariant method of designing the IR filter? So in this impulse invariant method, okay, so in this method of digitizing an analog filter, the impulse response of the digital filter is a sampled version of impulse response of analog filter. Okay, the impulse response of digital filter H of n is obtained by the sampled version of impulse response of the analog filter H of t. Okay, so that is the case. Then here, if the transfer function of analog filter in partial fraction form, we have to expand it. So the HA of S is equal to summation k equal to 1 to n Ck by S minus Pk means then the transfer function of the corresponding digital filter can be obtained by, so you see the H of Z is equal to summation k equal to 1 to n t into Ck by 1 minus e power Pkt into Z inverse, where Ck is a partial fraction coefficient, Pk is a poles. Okay, so we have to, in order to convert this H of S into the H of Z, we have to first find the poles and partial fraction values, then we have to substitute in that formula, we can get the digital filter. Okay, so using this impulse invariant method, already we solved nearly 6-7 problems. Okay, so in our thing, if you want to learn that videos means, I will give link for that video in the description box, you can refer it. Okay, then the next question, what are the limitations of impulse invariant mapping? Impulse invariant method is called as impulse invariant mapping. So what is the limitation? Okay, so the limitation is the frequency mapping is many to one. Okay, but bilinear transformation mapping is 1 to 1. Okay, we will discuss and we will compare. Then so many to one mapping, because of many to one mapping, there is a aliasing problem takes place. Okay, in frequency domain, that is a limitation of impulse invariant method. And the next one, so because of this aliasing, the impulse invariant method is suitable for the design of low pass and narrow band pass filter only. Okay, so we have to construct low pass filter and a narrow band pass filter using this impulse invariant method. Okay, so this impulse invariant method is unsuccessful for the implementation of digital filters such as high pass. So in order to design high pass filter, this method is not suitable. That is a limitation of impulse invariant mapping. So that's why we are moving to the next method. It's a bilinear transformation. In that we can design any type of filter. Okay, so it's a many to one mapping. Because of many to one mapping, there is a aliasing problem in impulse invariant method is that due to the aliasing problem, uh, we have to, this method is suitable only for the design of low pass filter and narrow band pass filter. So in order to construct high pass filter, this method is not suitable. Okay, this is the thing. Then the next question, what are the properties of impulse invariant technique? So impulse invariant technique properties. Only the poles of transfer function are mapped. Then the next one, there is a aliasing problem in frequency domain is there due to mapping. So due to many to one mapping, aliasing problem is available in impulse invariant method. And the next one, the frequency relationship is linear. Okay, this is the one of the property. And stable analog filter can be converted into stable digital filter. Okay, we can convert stable analog into stable digital. So this is the properties of impulse invariant technique. So it's a December 2014 question. Then the next one, what is the relationship between analog and digital frequency in impulse invariant transformation? So the analog frequency omega, this omega is used to mention analog frequency. This omega is used to mention the digital frequency. What is the relation between analog frequency and digital frequency in impulse invariant transformation? So you see the relation is the digital frequency equal to analog frequency into capital T. Capital T is a time. Okay, time period. It is also one of the university problem. Then the next question, convert the given analog transfer function h of s equal to 1 by s plus a into digital filter using impulse invariant method. It's a May 2013 question. So one time this question asked in part C, that is 15-mark problem. In 15-mark problem, the same problem is asked. Okay, so this is the 2-mark question in May 2013. This is a problem. So here you see the h of s is given as 1 by s plus a. We are going to convert this h of s into the corresponding digital transfer function h of z. Okay, so you know in impulse invariant method, first our given transfer function we have to expand in partial fraction method. So here only one pole. Okay, s plus a means this is the first order filter. So this is available in that partial fraction method only. So here how many poles? Only one pole. Okay, the pole P1 equal to minus A. 1 by S minus of the P1. Okay, the pole P1 equal to minus A and the partial fraction coefficient C1 value is 1. Okay, so you just substitute this P1 value and C1 value in our digital transfer function formula. So in impulse invariant method, the digital transfer function h of z formula is that summation k equal to 1 to n ck by 1 minus e power pkt z inverse. Okay, so here what is the order n? N is 1. Since the given problem is a first order filter, so the summation is not there, only the thing c1 by 1 minus e power p1t z inverse. So you substitute p1 c1 value in this formula, so we can get, you see, c1 is 1 by 1 minus e power, what is p1? P1 is minus a, so minus a t into z inverse. So if the time t, we are assuming that the sampling time is 1 second means, so if you are substituting t value here, the h of z is equal to 1 by 1 minus e power minus a z inverse. This is the corresponding transfer function of digital filter. Okay, so similar to this, instead of 1 by s plus a, they may give 1 by s plus 3 and s plus 2. Okay, in the same way, we just solve. Okay, this is the 2-mark question. So already we solved impulse invariant method, the filter design, big questions. Okay, 13-mark questions, 16-mark questions in our video as previously. Then the next question, what is warping effect? This warping effect, pre-warping, which is available in bilinear transformation. Okay, so there's a very important question. What is warping? What is pre-warping? Okay, so you see several times this question came. Okay, so warping, what is warping effect means? The relation between analog and digital frequency in bilinear transformation is given by the analog frequency omega equal to 2 by t turn of omega by 2. So here you see the relation between analog and digital frequency is non-linear. Okay, but in impulse invariant method, the relation between analog and digital frequency is linear. You see, digital frequency equal to analog into t. So this relation is linear. But in bilinear transformation, the relation between analog and digital frequency is non-linear. Okay, so for smaller value of omega, there exists linear relationship between the digital frequency and analog frequency. But For larger value of omega, this relationship is non-linear. Okay, so because of this non-linearity introduces the distortion in frequency axis. So this effect is known as warping effect. Okay, so this warping effect, what is the effect of this warping effect? Means this effect compresses the magnitude and phase response at high frequencies. Okay, this warping effect, it compresses the magnitude and phase response at high frequencies. Okay, so this is the warping effect. So the relation between analog and digital frequency is linear for small values of omega, but a non-linear for a greater value of omega. Okay, so because of this non-linearity, there is a distortion is produced in the frequency axis, that is called as warping effect. Okay, so next one, what is pre-warping? So in order to avoid this warping effect, we are using the method, it is called as pre-warping. So you see, it's a very important question. What is pre-warping, or discuss the need for pre-warping? The same answer only. So you see, in bilinear transformation, the discrete time frequency, that is omega, the discrete time frequency omega is related to the continuous time frequency, that is analog omega, as omega equal to 2 into tan inverse of omega t by 2. Okay, so this relationship is highly non-linear as shown in figure. So it is called as frequency warping. Okay, so you see the graph. So this is the relation between analog frequency and digital frequency. So for a smaller value of omega, the relation is up to this only, it is linear. After that, you see this relation is non-linear. Okay, so the problem of this frequency warping can be corrected by applying the reverse characteristics before applying bilinear transformation. Okay, so in order to cancel this non-linearity effect, so before applying the bilinear transformation, so we have to use this method. So what is the method means? First we have to design the pre-warping frequencies. Okay, pre-warping pass band frequency and pre-warping stop band frequency using this formula. What is the formula means? Omega equal to 2 by t tan omega by 2. So using this formula, we have to design the analog frequency in order to cancel the effect produced by the frequency warping. Okay, so this is called as a pre-warping. So pre-warping means in order to avoid the distortion produced by the warping effect, before that we have to design the pre-warping analog frequency using this formula. Okay, omega equal to 2 by t tan omega by 2. Then the next question, give the bilinear transformation. That is, what is meant by bilinear transformation? So bilinear transformation is a mapping that transforms the left half of the S-plane into unit circle in Z-plane only once. This is very important. Thus avoiding the aliasing problem. In impulse invariant method, the mapping will happen but many to one mapping. So that's why there is a aliasing problem is there. But in bilinear transformation, only one mapping, so there is no aliasing. Okay, so that it transforms left half of the poles are located inside the unit circle. Right half of the S-plane poles are located outside the unit circle. So there is no aliasing problem happened in bilinear transformation. Okay, and this is the mapping thing. If you want to convert analog filter into digital filter means in H of S equation, you just substitute instead of the variable s, we have to substitute 2 by t, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse means we can get the transfer function capital H of z. Okay, so this is the bilinear transformation formula in order to convert analog filter into digital filter. Then the next question, what are the properties of bilinear transformation? Okay, the same thing only, no, the question is somewhat different. What is bilinear? Okay, what is warping? What is bilinear transformation, mapping? Same question only. The properties of bilinear transformation, it's a December 2016 and 17. So you see, the mapping of bilinear transformation is 1 to 1. Okay, 1 to 1 means one pole in analog filter can be mapped to in only one place in digital filter. Okay, that is every point Z, there is exactly only one corresponding S and vice versa. And the next one, the j omega axis in S plane, it maps onto the unit circle. So you see, this is the S plane, this is analog poles, this is the digital filter Z plane, this is the j omega axis. If the poles are located in j omega axis means that the j omega axis poles are located in the on the unit circle. Okay, this is the unit circle. Unit circle means the circle of radius r equal to 1. This is called as a unit circle. So if the j in j omega axis the poles are located means that poles are mapped on the unit circle. Then the next point, left half of the S plane maps interior of the unit circle. So left half, this is the left half. So the left half poles, okay, you see left half poles are located inside the unit circle. Similarly, this is the right half, okay, right side, the right half poles are located outside the unit circle. So this is the mapping, mapping of bilinear transformation. So because of that, the stable analog filter can be converted into stable digital filter. Okay, this is said to be bilinear transformation. So you see, bilinear transformation is a one-to-one mapping. So because of one-to-one mapping, there is no aliasing problem. Then j omega axis, the poles in the j omega axis is mapped onto the unit circle. Left half poles are located interior of unit circle, right half poles are located exterior of unit circle. Okay, so this is the diagram in order to explain the above. Then the next thing, what are the advantages and disadvantages of bilinear transformation? Okay, advantages and disadvantages. So already you know, in property itself it is discussed. So advantages is the bilinear transformation provides one-to-one mapping. Yes. Then a stable continuous system can be mapped into the realizable stable digital system. That is, we can convert the stable analog filter into stable digital filter. There is no aliasing. Yes. Okay. This is the advantages. Then disadvantages. So what is the disadvantage means? The mapping is highly non-linear. Okay. So it produces frequency compression at high frequencies. Okay. That is one of the disadvantage. Neither impulse response nor phase response of analog filter is preserved in digital filter obtained by bilinear transformation. Okay, the same frequency response and impulse response we are not at all preserved in digital in bilinear transformation, but impulse invariant method the magnitude response of analog filter is preserved in digital. This is the advantages and disadvantages of bilinear transformation. Okay, mainly there is no aliasing. It's a one-to-one mapping. Then the next question, compare impulse invariant method and bilinear transformation. Okay, so already we discussed several things. So you just compare it. So you see the first point, in impulse invariant transformation, only the poles of H of S are mapped. But in bilinear transformation, both poles and zeros of H of S is mapped. Okay, aliasing of frequency takes place in impulse invariant. Here there is no aliasing. Okay, here it's a many to one mapping in impulse invariant. In bilinear, it is a one-to-one mapping. Then the next one, the relation between analog and digital frequency is linear in impulse invariant method. But the relation between analog and digital frequency is non-linear. Okay, so you know, then here the digital frequency equal to analog frequency into t. But here the analog frequency omega equal to 2 by t turn of omega by 2. Okay, that is the formula. Then the magnitude and phase response of analog filter can be preserved by choosing the low sampling time or high sampling frequency. But here, due to the warping effect, the phase response of analog filter cannot be preserved. Okay, so this is the comparison between the impulse invariant method and bilinear transformation method. Okay, so if you are studying all the previous thing means you may compare it. Okay, so this is the comparison behind the two methods. And next one, the problem, two more problem. Find H of Z for the IR filter whose H of S equal to 1 by S plus 6 with a capital T equal to 0.1 second. It's a May 2015 question problem. So here the method is not mentioning. Use impulse invariant method, use bilinear transformation, any one method is not mentioned. So we may use any method. Okay, so we may solve this problem in impulse invariant also. Already we solved one problem, h of s equal to 1 by s plus a in impulse invariant. Instead of a, here 6 is given. Okay, so here we are going to use the method bilinear, since the bilinear transformation is very easy. Okay, so in order to convert this analog filter into digital filter, so the only the thing is that wherever the s is available, we have to replace it with 2 by t, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse in h of s. We can get the h of z. Okay, so that's all. So that's why, so you see the h of z is equal to the digital transfer function equal to the analog transfer function at s is equal to 2 by t, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse. Here what is t? T is 0.1 second. If t is not at all given, you may consider, you may assume t equal to 1. But here the t is given 0.1. So you see, so 2 by 0.1, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse. So 1 divided by, so what is the analog? 1 by s plus 6. So instead of this s, we have to put this value. So 2 by 0.1, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse plus 6. Okay. So 2 by 0.1, it is a 20. So 20 into this plus 6. Then you just take LCM. So 20 into 1 minus z inverse plus 6 into this denominator part, then divided by that term, we give it to the numerator. So 1 plus z inverse divided by this. So you just expand it, you just add it. So if you're adding the constant 20 plus 6, 26, then minus 20 z inverse plus 6 z inverse, we may get minus 14 z inverse. Okay, so always the transfer function, the denominator of the transfer function, this constant value, it should be 1. So that's why you take 26 outside. Okay, you take 26 outside, then 1 by 26, it is 0.038 into 1 plus z inverse by this 26, if you are taking outside, 1 minus 14 by 26, it's a 0.538 z inverse. So this is the corresponding digital transfer function, okay, of the given analog transfer function h of s equal to 1 by s plus 6. Okay, so you may the same problem you may use the impulse invariant method also. Okay, so in that what is the pole? The pole p1 value is minus 6. Okay, minus 6, the c1 value 1. So you just substitute the c1 and p1 value in the h of z formula for impulse invariant, you may get the answer. Okay, so you may use any one method. The next question, use backward difference for the derivative to convert analog low pass filter with the system function h of s equal to 1 by s plus 2. So backward difference. So the approximation of derivative method is otherwise called as backward difference method. Okay. So in that method, similar to bilinear transformation, if you want to convert the analog filter into digital filter, we have to substitute s with 1 by t, 1 minus z inverse in h of s. Okay. In bilinear transformation means we have to substitute, instead of s, we have to substitute 2 by t, 1 minus z inverse by 1 plus z inverse. Okay. But here in backward difference method, in h of s equation, instead of s, you just substitute 1 by t, 1 minus z inverse. Okay. So h of z is equal to 1 by, instead of s, 1 minus z inverse by t plus 1. Then you take LCM, we can get the answer this one. Okay. So this is also one of the 2-mark question. November, December 2015 question. Okay, so that's all this bilinear and impulse invariant method. Next, we are going to discuss about the realization of filter. So what are the different types of realization of IR filter? So in order to construct the IR filter, we may use direct form 1, direct form 2, cascade form, and parallel form. So these are all the various realizations. And next one, what are the disadvantages of direct form realization? So already we discussed this questions. We studied this question in signals and system. Okay, what is the disadvantage in direct form? Means in direct form of realization, the number of component used is somewhat high. Okay, that's the one thing. And another one disadvantage is the direct form realization is extremely sensitive to parameter quantization. Okay, when the order of the system is large, a small change in the filter coefficient due to parameter quantization results in a large change in the location of poles and zeros. Okay, so this is the disadvantage of the direct form realization. If you are changing that is the filter coefficient in a minimum amount, the poles and zero location is completely changing. Okay, that is a disadvantage in direct form realization. Then the next question, what is the advantages of direct form 2 realization when compared to direct form 1? Okay, so in direct form 2 realization, the number of memory location required is less that of direct form 1 realization. Okay, so since the number of delay element used is automatically reduced by half in direct form 2. So that's why number of memory location required is less. Then the next one, the computation time required is also reduced. So number of memory location is less means automatically the computation time required is also reduces when compared to direct form 1. This is the advantage of direct form 2. That's why instead of using direct form 1, always in cascade form also we are using the direct form 2 only. Then draw the direct form structures of IAR. Okay, so this is the direct form 1 structure. This is the direct form 2 structure. Okay, so you see this is the direct form 1 structure and direct form 2 structure. Already the realization of IR filter and related problems we solved in the previous videos. Okay, if you want to learn, I will give a link in the description box. You can refer it. Okay, next question. Mention the advantages of cascade realization. So the quantization error can be minimized if we are realizing the system in cascade. Okay, LTI system, linear time invariant system in cascade. Instead of realizing direct form, if you are realizing in cascade, the quantization error can be minimized. Okay, so we will discuss what is quantization error and the thing in 4th unit, finite word length effect. Then the next question, last question, distinguish between recursive realization and non-recursive realization. Already you know, recursive realization means the present output is a function of past output, past input and present input. Okay, the present output depends on present input, previous input and past input means that is called as a recursive. So the recursive realization, it should have the feedback, compulsory feedback. But a non-recursive realization means the current output, that is the present output is depends on past and present inputs only, not on the past outputs. Okay, so this non-recursive realization is corresponding to finite impulse response filter. Recursive realization is corresponding to IAR filter, infinite impulse response digital filter. Okay, so these are all the some of the important and repeated university 2-mark questions. Okay, we discussed nearly 38 2-mark questions. So all question, each one question is coming in one year. Okay, so you study all these questions. It's very useful for you. Okay, so if you want to learn the big questions, the lecture videos corresponding to this IR filter. Okay, so in my channel, in the name of discrete time signal processing as well as digital signal processing, the 2 separate playlist is that. In that playlist, from first unit videos to this 3rd unit video, all videos are available. You can learn. Okay, so thank you. We will meet in the next video with one more problem. Okay, so please subscribe my channel and press the bell notification button. Then only you can get a notification once I am posting the video. Okay, so thank you. We will meet in the next video.